Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Roundtable. I'm Alex Irwin, Knighty Knight. I'm going to be the host of this show. This is the very first one, and I am very excited about this. We've got a lot to talk about today, but first, I'm going to give you a rundown of what this show is going to be like. It's basically a multi-gaming show where it's going to be a lot of focus on analysis. A lot of esports competitive gaming. We're going to drag in some coaches, some professional players, staff members. It's not going to be just solely about Halo, but today we've got two guests from the Halo scene. We've got Callous, the coach of Denial, and then we also have Gabriel, the professional Halo player on Golden Modem Squad. He placed really high at the last event, has been doing well his entire career. So I'm really, really interested to see what their take is on where Halo's at and what we've got going on. Just to see, a lot about where their brains at the moment. Everybody's got their own opinions about where Halo needs to be and what it can be, and we definitely want to hear more about them. So, without further ado, Callous, what is going on, my friend?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. What you been up to, man? It's been a few months, or it's been I guess like 2 months since UGC Halo Classic. You had a second place finish. What have you been doing since?
Since that event, man, grinding Apex like the rest of the universe, No, I've just been taking it one day at a time. As far as Halo, just I'm super excited for the next event, man. The next event can't come any sooner. So
Yeah,
just grinding the streams, trying to get the team prepared, scheduling scrims, all the good stuff.
yeah. How is that going? Are they practicing a lot? Is there a lot of that, or are the guys mainly on Apex, or what?
They're definitely dipping their feet in Apex, that's for sure. I think Mason actually just bought or put it together like a gaming PC. He's waiting on some equipment to come in. But they've been grinding. We've been kind of on this schedule where we scrim one day and then we'll take like a day off and focus on maybe going over those games or doing some matchmaking and kind of back and forth bouncing on that. But I think this week we're scrimming almost like every day.
So, what do you think about a lot of the tournaments that have been going on for Halo 3? We've also had, Halo 2 tournaments, Halo 1 tournaments. There's been a lot of grassroots things happening right now that there's not just a focus on Halo 5. There are also Halo 5 things going on. There's still the professional battle league that are doing their things. Well, what do you think about all that that's going on still while in between these HCS events?
I love it. I go on Twitter though, and sometimes I see a little bit of a debate, right? People more on the fence of why now. It's spreading the community very thin, and I see that for sure. There's a little bit of spreading for sure the community, but I think what's bad about that? What's bad about having these Halo 1 tournaments and now we got Halo 2, the Sanctuary Cups? Man, I love Halo 2. I know you did too. So when I heard that, I was like, man, get me in there. I want to do this. I think it's nothing but positive, nothing but good for the community, I think.
I'm so focused on, the show and you go into the events and stuff that it kills me because it's like, oh man, I want to get
Oh,
back into that and compete. And it's like there's that player inside me that just wants to win. And I would get so sucked into that and want to practice, and it would just take too much away from like where I'm headed now. So it's just interesting. I'm 30 now, so it's like, man, I'd be competing against some like young guns that are like 16, 17. They don't miss a shot. Will my knowledge of Halo 2 be able to hang with that kind of prowess? Those guys that can just rip faces, get the crazy multi kills, just have you on spawn all game. And if it was Halo 1 on LAN, maybe I could hang, but Halo 2 online is a totally different beast. We won't go into that. I know that drive is still deep. That fire is still deep inside me. There's there's old
right.
there's an old quote out there. It says, it doesn't matter how old you get as long as you still love what you're doing. And I think Steven Spielberg said that, and that's really true. It's like it keeps you going, like having that love for whatever you're doing, and that's why I'm still here. and I'm sure it's the same for you.
Yeah, man, I really resonate with that. I love that you just said that because I'm getting older too, and it's the same kind of boat, been competing for a while, and then when you want to throw in the sticks and quit, and it's like, no, you too much passion for this,
Nope.
and the grind continues.
All right, so let's go into what you've been doing recently. A lot of people know that you competed back in Halo 2, that you took your break in Halo 3, and that you started to come back. I remember, I think the first time I met you was at a Halo 4 tournament. It was in
AGL Nashville?
yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
And that was awesome because I saw that some old players were coming back. And so after all of that, you were involved in a lot of like online lessons, giving free lessons to people, which was great. You were going over gameplays for people and helping them out. Let's talk about when you got hired as a coach for the Pirates and how y'all did at DreamHack Atlanta.
Yeah, that whole situation was crazy. I had reached out to Commonly and Soul Snipe. I think were the two that I was really reaching out, and they said, "Yeah, come coach." And honestly, the event was amazing. It was a learning experience for me as a coach, my first time really coaching and coaching extremely talented players. So
What were some of
it
the main
was.
things that you really took away?
I need to take away for sure. I think the biggest thing was there's a big difference between coaching like professional players and then players who are on the come up, right? Uh,
Okay.
the pro players, they really have a good mindset on what they want to do. So I needed to learn really quickly not to overcoach, right? It's not the
Mm,
same as when I'm working with the rest of the community, and they might have a lot of questions, and then these players have a lot of answers more so than a lot of questions, right? So it's more of
yeah.
a team effort, and I think that was the biggest thing, right? Is kind of stepping back, not overcoaching, learning the nuances on how the team operates, and taking it, I guess making sure that I'm not stepping on anyone's toes was the biggest takeaway from that event.
Now, that was Halo 5, and you guys placed fifth.
Yeah.
Then you go into, like you said, coaching for actual, like the top pros. Aries Carries was competing for, top two, top three in H2A. I mean, he was up there. And you enter that new domain, so to speak, where these guys are just very, very knowledgeable about how to win an event. And it's also a different game. It's Halo 3. It's a game you haven't played very much. So tell me a little bit about that and the second place finish at Halo Classic.
Yeah, Halo 3. I was super excited about it because it's classic Halo, and I knew that it would make the community happy. So that was exciting. From a coaching standpoint, I guess for me, I had to learn again, relearn it because I competed back then, but I think I've grown a lot, as a player in the last 10 years. And then going back and relearning this game that's an old game, that was more my focus going into that event was, okay, how are the weapon times? It's completely different. I remember the rockets, right, generally like 3 minutes and 2.5 for sniper, but it wasn't exactly that. So going in, learning those things, retweaking like dirtying weapons and just kind of funneling that information at the event and making sure, okay, the players are really smart. Are we doing every little thing that we can do to push the advantage? Like dirtying weapons, taking it away from talks like on the pit CTF game, that was huge when Hammy did that. um,
Hmm.
that was more so my focus. And I guess you asked about the second place finish. I was super happy, man. It was just
Of
standing up there. It was like surreal. The team was upset, when we lost.
course.
Yeah, I was up here and they were not. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna just let them, you know, deal with it, and I'll be partying on my own. But everyone was super happy afterwards.
So, how did you like working for Denial?
I love it,
Or how do you
man. This
like
is
working for it?
Yeah, like this is really where I want to be. And to me, it's just crazy. I've known Zach for years. We go back a long time. We used to land in Halo 3, and
Oh,
just this full circle situation, right?
okay.
It's crazy. And now we're like I'm coaching one of his teams, and then Patrick coming out of nowhere. I
Yeah.
knew last year when it was the Anaheim Pirates and I saw
Okay.
Patrick, I knew I gotta reach out to this guy. This guy's so positive. How am I gonna do that?
He's got
And to
energy.
me, yeah, and to me the fact that we're all together and Patrick and Zach both like got together and did this merger and they bought Denial. It just seems like it's not even true. Like
Mm,
it's the dream come true.
that's a
I don't
great
know.
feeling. I'm very, very happy for you. I know how much you've worked hard, and let's talk about how hard you've worked. There's a YouTube channel. A lot of people know about it. If you don't, it's called Paradise, um, and it's basically a breakdown of professional gameplay, and it's live competitive footage from the event. And it just is insanely in depth, and it's exactly what I wish I had been a part of all of this time. Like back in the early Reach days, I used to stream and I would do this with players. I would have them submit me gameplay, and I would break down their gameplays bit by bit. But I just didn't have the production that that channel has, and you're such a big part of that. Talk a little bit about that.
That's another, just like Denial, man. It was a crazy situation because I tried to do YouTube myself, not
Right.
all me and a friend of mine, Abe Thurlian, and it crashed and burned. It was so bad. We found out really early on, just like you said, we don't have the production skills. I'm not very funny or entertaining, so I don't know what I'm doing on the mic. And then yeah,
Oh,
like
come on,
Abe was,
man. You made me laugh a few times. You're making me laugh right now. Come on.
you're the best, man. Um, yeah, it didn't work out. Like Thurlian and I were putting in like 20 hours of work for a video, and you saw, if you guys saw it, breaking the meta Halo, it wasn't good. So you fast forward to Sean, his ad is Dynasean, Dyna Sean. That's the guy who's running the Paradise Halo.
Shout
And to
out to that
me,
guy.
shout out, yeah, to me it just made sense. He reached out and he said, "Hey, let's work on some content." And like I said, to me, this is what I've been waiting for because I
Yeah.
want to be able to help the community, but I don't know how to. I have
Yeah.
these ideas. Maybe I can put it through someone else and have them present it.
Yeah, and I love them. I've watched a lot of them, and it just really floors me. It's like exactly what we needed because, we got to talk about it. Observer mode is something we've lacked ever since Halo 2, and it's something that could have really helped us to grow and to stay at the top. We had a lot of workarounds. MLG was able to do it a lot, but it's tough when you don't have an observer mode. It's hard to keep that online exhibition of your game. There's so many opportunities that are not allowed to be had, and that's unfortunate in the past that we haven't had that observer mode. So having videos like that, where it is almost like you're in the game, where it's an extra theater mode, where you're just looking from all different angles. I mean, it's just brilliant, and I'm really happy that we have you on that because, I mean, obviously Shyway, you guys have been putting so much time into in-depth analysis of micro and macro.
Yeah, Shyway, man, working with Alex too. It's kind of the same concept, just knowing that, I have these ideas, but if the community isn't interested in how it's presented, right? We gotta tweak it and how it's being done. And so Alex has his way of presenting things, or Shyway, and then Paradise Halo has that way of presenting things. And hopefully more content creators will jump out for Halo Infinite and start putting out more things, and everyone can kind of get involved and make the community grow because we all want to see Halo on top. That's the number one thing.
That's exactly right. And we have a gameplay here from UGC. I want to just talk about some of those things that we're talking about now. Going into this one is the grand finals, the first series that you guys actually won, and I think a lot of people were shocked by that, and they thought Tox was just way too dominant. I think Aries said he had a rough series in the winners bracket finals, and that that was a big contributor to why they got 3-0'd so quickly. What do you think about that? And let's start rolling the gameplay.
Sorry, what was your question? I was like looking at the gameplay and
Oh, is the gameplay? Oh, whoops. Okay, it's going. I didn't see it. Now I see it. Oh, okay. So my question was, Aries was playing a little less like himself. I'm not exactly sure why he said that, but during the winners bracket finals, when they met up, it just wasn't the same as this series in the grand finals. Why was that?
I remember that. Yeah, I just remember Aries getting off the sticks and just being super upset and just like, man, I got destroyed that game. I'm not really sure. I think the second series we were definitely small talking a lot more, and our pushes were more in sync. Was from what I remember. The first series, I don't know. We didn't really get to warm up. I don't want to use that as,
Oh, okay.
happened,
Yeah.
but definitely we got our butts kicked, and we had to learn from that and say, okay, Tox is really good. They're pushing everything together, so we have to kind of do the same thing. We can't just do solo pushes. And I mean, Aries went off second series, so definitely turned it around.
Yeah, and another thing that I heard, we can fast forward through this, get through this game. Pit, always a slow one, a slow burn. It always picks up towards the end. Here we go. Aries told me after the tournament that the way that the connection was on MCC, that host was actually starting to have an advantage. Now, that wasn't the same thing on the original Halo 3. Did you notice that standing behind them? Did you see that the host, whoever was hosting, was kind of landing better shots or was cleaning up more kills?
I didn't really particularly notice that, so to speak. I wasn't really like
Uh-huh.
focusing on that, but I mean, I trust it. I mean, I know whenever I'm playing and I get host, even online, I notice a difference. So I didn't really get to play on LAN
Yeah,
and see it for
it's always
myself.
been kind of a disadvantage in Halo 3 having hosts because it was such a big deal in the early Halos. Halo 1 and Halo 2, if
Right.
you had hosts, you were a god. You didn't have to lead as much in Halo 1, and in Halo 2 it was you could shoot all the way
You
across
had
the map.
strategies based on that, like, oh,
Right.
you're hosting? All right, hold the window on midship and just get them, or hold P3 and just be annoying.
Yeah, and for Aries to just go off like he did with the host in this series was just so fun to watch. Um, did y'all take it the majority of the games? Like, break down like what your thought process was, or the whole team in general. Like when you're videoing maps or trying to pick what game you're going to host.
Oh, for scrims, they'll just kind of go through it all,
Okay.
and we've been playing a lot. I know we played a lot off host leading into the event. A lot of teams, when we had hosts, we'd give it to Shelly, and teams didn't like that, and so we kind of went into the event with that. Oh, we got the Shelly host on land, kind of looming over us.
Yeah.
But we trade it off a lot and play off host. Just run through all the game types. I don't think they really cared.
All right, well, let's run through this, get to some of the extra games here. We had some exciting gameplay coming out of Tox pretty much the entire tournament. They had Eco for this tournament, and Eco was playing out of his mind. Can you tell me a little bit about what he was doing for the Tox team? Did you notice anything in particular about him specifically, about some of the plays he was making?
The one thing that I remember from Eco is from what I know, he didn't really compete in Halo 3, right? This is kind of
Uh,
like
well, he played. He played. He just didn't really. He was never on good teams. He didn't make it far in MLGs. So yeah, I mean, his start was pretty much in reach.
it's like that's Eco right there on the screen grabbing the rockets. I noticed that on some plays he was a smart Halo player, man. It didn't matter if it was Halo 3 or Halo 5, he was just sticking with the team. If he needed to be aggressive, he was doing it. He just got the rockets on that play and held forward, didn't care that he's being shot at, and just secured the rockets. I know on some of the plays, he was being a little passive, like when OS is coming up on pit. I remember I think he went like maybe top tower and was like anchoring and making sure
Yeah,
like no one's flanking, and he's aware that okay, they can flank through runway, they can flank through the
right.
perimeters. So he, if he didn't compete back then, he's picked up really quickly and he was where he needed to be.
What now? Was there some adjustments that you guys were starting to make, like mid-series, that might have changed the outcome compared to the winners bracket finals to this first series?
I know that, like I said, the small talk was so much better on the second series, and I think we knew, like, as far as Pitt is concerned, Tox was a team that was always, always, always had a guy top tower. It was really frustrating. Um, and I remember we were talking about that, and Hammy was like, "Okay, yeah, like they know we're going to be doing these flanks through the bottom, and so we knew to expect that, and we needed to keep pushing it, keep pushing that advantage, and not so much not we didn't really change things up on that respect. We just kept applying the pressure, if that makes sense."
Okay. Well, see, now that's something interesting to me because Tox has always been known as one of those teams, mainly because of Snakebite. Snakebite has already always said he has his little book. He's got his journal that he keeps notes of all the teams and their play styles, all of their habits, all of their starts. I mean, he gets detailed with it. And for you guys to just keep one way and one way only. Did you notice that the maybe Tox was starting to catch on and made adjustments themselves?
Yeah, they took that Amp Slayer game and the Pit Slayer game. So it definitely seems like they're picking up on it, and that's where we faltered. We needed to change things up a little bit more, maybe be a little more dynamic when we were seeing that it's kind of like a headbutt, right?
Yeah.
And it's not working in our favor.
Hmm.
But no, we really didn't try to change too much. From what I remember, we just stuck to how the practices was. The team was confident in how they wanted to play it, and they were polishing what mistakes they saw, and we
Right.
just kept hitting it home with what we were comfortable with.
Yeah, I mean, there always is the possibility of overthinking, and especially when you're on main stage, you're under those lights. Um, that's something we can talk about. What is that big difference? Because I know the main stage, you've been around it, you've witnessed it, but now you've been in a grand finals. You've compete. You can say that. I mean, you were the fifth man. You can say you competed in the grand finals at a Halo tournament and against some very talented people.
That's
What is that
crazy.
like? Yeah, describe that. Describe it.
Honestly, man, I just remember when I was there, I tried to just not let it affect me because
Right.
it can't. You just need to stick
Right.
with it, keep doing what you're doing. It's just another game of Halo, right? You're just in front
Okay.
of people and some lights. Uh, but I mean, the very first time I got on main stage, yeah, you freaking out a little bit. I wonder how Shelly, he dealt with it. It was his first time, and he played, you know.
That's nuts to me. Like Shelly comes out of nowhere. He's like hard grinder in Halo 3. The man, really has a lot of hours logged in when there's other Halos that are way more popular going on. The HGS is going on. And then Halo 3 is back. And Shelly's like, this is my time to shine. And he absolutely shows up. I mean, that's pretty incredible. That's one of those things that you just aren't expecting from a newcomer. What are some of the things that really stick out to you, like about his gameplay or just his demeanor?
Shelly is super calm. Like he doesn't even like to warm up. I was getting on him the whole time. Like, are you sure, man? Like, we gotta play in like 10 minutes. He's like, no, I don't want to warm up, man. It's just gonna mess me up. Like, all right. But yeah, he's super chill. And as far like his gameplay, what surprised me the most was his OBJ mindset. Was
Okay.
really just I remember over when we were playing Reciprocity, and it was that game 5, and just his run through again on pit. I keep thinking like I don't know why it's always pit, but he just ran that flag through runway, and Corey with the sniper getting that crazy no scope at the last second. That wouldn't have happened like if he was doing anything else. Like Shiley just knew, okay, I need to turtle, look down, straight down, and just run the flag through runway and do it now. And I feel like any other player might have tried to slay or help, Corey live or anything like that. He didn't waste any time.
Yeah, it was an incredible event, and I'm so glad to see that you guys really, really came out and showed up. Y'all put on one heck of a show. Everybody loved that it was kind of, that Cinderella story. I mean, you guys are all, very skilled. It wasn't like, oh, well, we didn't know that these players were going to do well. We knew that Denial was going to do well because y'all online were just savages. Like, but then there was that online warrior thing, like, oh well, Shelly won't be so great on land, blah blah blah.
Right.
But so that's really cool. But let's talk a little bit about the future and the South by Southwest coming up, and also going further than that. We're going to have DreamHack, and Infinite is ultimately going to be coming out a lot later down the road. With you sticking with coaching, just give me the whole rundown of what's coming up for you.
Well, the first thing on my mind is, like you said, the event. That's the immediate first step is winning that event, going in and just doing our best, right?
Yes.
The team's super excited. We've been grinding a lot. I'm super excited. I heard there's gonna be like bands playing at the,
Okay.
right? Like, so, I mean, oh no, I'm thinking about the DreamHack. They're gonna have bands playing at the next
Oh,
DreamHack event, right?
yeah.
Because South by Southwest, it's like multicultural, multimedia event as far as I know, right? There should be a lot of things going on there.
Yeah, they're gonna do some oh, look at that.
Hey,
He was hyping it up, man. That was so cool of him, really getting it going. That was so much fun hearing him like just getting the crowd in it. I mean, having someone like that in the community. Shout out to Blackbeard. He really he leaves a positive mark on a lot of people in the community when you're talking to him. Like I know he was talking to Amon Green, the Green Bay Packers.
Right.
It just him talking with him back and forth was the coolest experience. Being able to just chat with those guys. They have so many great things to add to a lot of these young guns. The 16-year-old, the 17-year-old amateur players coming into the scene, and hearing that kind of advice from a guy like that that's just been super successful in his businesses and stuff. It's really great, and I think Denial's doing a good thing, and I know the players are going to be stoked, and it's going to be tough. Talks have Royal 2 now, so I'm looking forward to seeing how well y'all can do. But
Be interesting.
Let's end it with what your expectations are for Infinite, and what you're hoping to see.
I am just hoping that they've learned from Halo 5 as far as listening to the community for the esports side of things. That's really my only concern. Is I think it's going to be a good game, but you can't make everybody happy. That's the number one thing. The community split between how the competitive esports is supposed to be, whether it's supposed to be sprint or no sprint, and all the abilities. And I'm in the middle here, like, I don't care. I like every Halo. I've grown to like them all, to love them all, and see the competitive merit in every Halo, 1 through 5, Reach,
Okay.
H2A, doesn't matter. So I'm going to be happy either way. But I do want them to listen to the community, whether there's sprint or no sprint, or if it's a projectile game or hit scan, there's going to be flaws day one. And we have to just come together and listen to the community and, okay, this person thinks this, the pros think that. What does everyone think? And let's do something about it. It shouldn't take a year and a half to get rid of ARs and splinter nades and the radar adjustments that happen in Halo 5. So that's my number one hope for Infinite, is that it's a good game, it's fun, and that we listen to the community. I think if we do that, we're set.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that one. Thank you so much, Callous, and we will talk to you later.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
All right, guys. So we are going to take a quick commercial break, and when we get back, we have Gabriel. He is a professional Halo player. He's been around since Halo 3. He's got a lot to talk about. He's going to be really ready for what's coming up at South by Southwest and DreamHack. Can't wait to hear what he has to say. Don't go anywhere. Hey guys, we're back, and I've got my boy Gab here. What's up, Gab?
What's up, Alex? How you doing, man?
I'm doing awesome, man. This has been interesting. I like it so far. We just had Callous on the show, and now I've got a GMS boy. I got the leader pretty much. I mean, it was you, Goofy, Fantasy, and Fearless. Was it
No.
Fearless? No.
Well,
What was the
basically
original?
the original, like back then, it was like I wasn't even on it. It was
Oh, you
like,
were?
well, they weren't even like GMS. It was basically like Fearless. You're thinking back
Okay,
when it was Fearless, Fantasy, Zerka, and Rippin, I think.
there it
But
is.
but it was really me, Zerka, Fantasy, and Rippin. That was like
Okay.
OG GMS.
I got you.
Yeah.
And that was back in like 2012, like when Reach was kind of like headed down and like everybody was going back to Halo 3, right?
Um, Maybe, yeah. I think it was either that or it was after after H4 actually, like after all the AGLs were done and
Uh,
it was in that transition where we knew
yeah.
like H2A and MCC was gonna come out with the Xbox. So I think that's when it really started, but it could have been even before that. I just don't really remember. It's been so long.
Well, we know your history. You've been a pro for a long time. In Halo 3, you placed semi-pro. You placed top 32 at I believe Anaheim. And
Yeah.
then in Reach, you actually I think came close to top 8. Like you were tied. Well, what exactly happened?
Um this is back, it was like a pool play thing. We tied three ways for first for Anaheim, and first back then in the pool got you top six. So I think it went down to like a tiebreaker for, I don't know, it was weird. It was like most kills or something. I don't know, it was something like wild.
Oh man.
And funny enough, the event before that, Dallas, they actually changed the tiebreaker rules. So if it was like those rules, then we
Oh,
would have won it. So it was even crazier. But yeah, that's basically what happened. We got like ninth out of it, but yeah.
dude, Kiki was a god. Played
Yeah,
you
man.
at the Dallas event, and he ripped everyone's face like this.
Yes.
He didn't miss a shot with snipe. He just stood on. I remember it was Zealot, and he just stood on the landing, and like we would lift up to try to get him weak and kill him. No, he wasn't having it. No scoped us out of the air as we're flying up.
Yeah, a lot
It
of
was
people don't know about Keek. That's definitely I'm looking back on it now, like an OG, like Blaine kid right there for sure.
he got second place at his I think it was his first event at Nashville Combine. He played in
Yeah,
the
in
free
the
for all.
FFA. Yeah.
What a god. Anyways, let's talk a little bit about that win that you had at DreamHack Atlanta. It was you and Fantasy, and tell me about that event for you.
Well, like, what do you want to know exactly? Like,
Well, just I know like you've always been at the top. Like you were top 3 in Halo 4, you were top 8 in H2A. Like you've always been up there. But this was like you were playing against the best of the best Halo 3 players back in their heyday. Obviously you had some of the most time on Halo 3 during this point, but they're still the best. Like, you're playing as Flamesword and Roy, and you're up there on the main stage. Like, just walk me through that experience for you. Like, was it really that important, or was it a big deal for you?
it was at that point definitely important. Like, it was honestly one of the most important. Like, that was probably the most important tournament. Like at that point in time that I've ever been to, just because Uh, of course, we put time into Halo 3 and MCC and all that, but it was like Halo 3. Like that's my first ever Halo game that I actually learned about competing. I went to my first tournament for that game. I love that game. If there's Halo, like to me, Halo is Halo 3. So going into it, I just we had to win it. Like especially the stuff like Fantasy and I would talk about going into, like we had like personal problems and stuff, and we were just like, I remember every night going into that tournament, we would just talk about like, man, I can't wait to win that. I can't wait to win that. Like it was
Yeah,
huge for us, man. It really was. Like not a lot of people know, but it was definitely big.
I got to play with you guys a lot back in the day, and I just could see the drive that was in y'all. Like Fantasy, especially. Like he went to locals that were down close to me, and he'd beat up on the pros that go, and the pros would be like, "Oh, you got lucky,"
Bro, I've heard about this.
and he just got so much hate. And then after witnessing what he can do under pressure, people were like, okay, he's the real deal. And I love JR to death, and I think you were a big part of his growth. What do you think about that?
Definitely. When I met JR like online, um, he was just a really good player. Like most people who start off, right? They're online. They're very good shots. But I think I definitely like showed him some things, and he showed me things, and together we just like went to this other level. But yeah, I could definitely see that.
And with that win under y'all's belt, y'all went to UGC. You guys had a very, very unsatisfying finish, but you guys had an incredible upset. And the upset was on Reciprocity. And that's like the God team. You know, that's like the old school. People look at that team, the people that aren't in the know, they look at that roster and they say, that roster will probably win it. You know, Pistola, Snipe Down, Lunchbox, Roy, that's got to be a team that'll probably win. So going up against you guys, a lot of people didn't have you guys taking it. And I did. And I was like, GMS is going to give them a really good run. And it's going to go the distance, or it's just going to be flat out annihilation. And you guys ended up doing an incredible job. Tell me about the preparation first. Like when you guys were scrimming them online, what was that like?
Um, I was kind of surprised that so many people. Actually, nah, not really surprised people were rooting against us because I don't know, man. Something about this, like, I don't know if it's the casters or what, or maybe they're just these huge legends, right? Everyone just can't go against them. But
Right.
playing against them in tournaments and screaming leading up to the tournament, we never lost to them, like not once. So, but not to like put them down or anything. I knew going into it, it would literally go to a game 5. Like every time I played, like Roy or any of those guys, it's always good games, right? Like even back in H4, playing like Ola, like in that Nashville tournament, like it's always tough to beat those players. But like for people to just like completely count us out, especially after the time we put in, us coming off that win, like I don't know, it was just very surprising to me. But you know, we still took that W.
All right, I want to bring up some of that gameplay footage. I want to see what was going on in some of these games. I mean, this just really was an incredible matchup. Like a lot of people had different ideas of what the best team matchups were going to be, but this going to a game 5 could not have been any better. It was so hype watching it live. It brought me back to the days of like when Believe the Hype was kind of like this team that was on the rise. It was back in 09, and they were taking on Straight Rippin'. They were taking on Triggers Down. They were beating all the top teams. I felt like that was you guys at this event. I was like, these guys are going to go all the way. I was like, this is insane. This is really going to get their momentum up there. It's going to get you guys ready and rocking and rolling. I personally, though, was very, very skeptical about Zerka. I didn't know how he was going to do. I was very confident in JR, obviously, but explain to me how Zerka handled all of the pressure and what he did at the tournament.
Zerka was amazing. Like on Saturday, he played like normal, like the way we always like thought of Zerk. On Sunday, it's kind of hard to say because we literally showed up for our match and played. Like,
oh wow,
they called our basically our round, and we weren't even at the venue. Like we were at like Steak and Shake or something. Yeah, so like a lot of people think like, I don't know what people think, but I'm just gonna say this: going into that Sunday, it was like not real. Like we literally sat down and played. So I can't give a fair shake and base Zerk off that series on Sunday. But on Sunday, I would just say he was like more quiet. Fantasy night, we did kind of have the same like thought process as you. Like, oh man, how's Zerk gonna play? Like he's never really been to like this big tournament.
Right.
But he's good. Like I know Zerk knows how to play Halo 3. But I just think that Sunday we just showed up like and played Halo. Like,
oh yeah, when I was watching the gameplay and I was watching Zerka, I was very impressed. I thought he was staying aggressive on kills that could have gone either way. Like, you know, when you're in a situation where it's like you're both weak, One player's got a little bit more shots on him, but he decides to push and be the aggressor anyways, and he wins that fight even being down shots. I felt like Zerka did that a lot, and that's something that you can say a lot about a player that's new to LAN or a big pressure tournament. That's just a really great thing to see out of Zerka. But I had to mention it. Zerka was switched out for Eco. Obviously, Eco is a world champion in Halo 5, a different game, but still a smart Halo player. What does Eco bring that Zerka couldn't?
The biggest thing is for sure communication. Like, he communicates way better. He knows what it takes to win a tournament, and he's been there multiple times now. So it wasn't necessarily like he was so much more skilled than Zerk. It was just those outside things, staying composed, knowing like how to not rush, when to rush, and man, just that communication. We literally took one scrim with Eco and we picked them up because it was just so good. Like,
oh my gosh,
yeah.
So it just felt right, like
it felt right. Yeah, yes, it felt really, really good. It felt almost like, I don't know, man. We're still like kind of on that because we just been playing well like ever since we picked them up. Like from the day we started playing with them, I don't know. It's kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah, talk about that. The hours that you guys have been putting into Halo 3. What is your practice regime? What has it been like?
I mean, we play when we can. We work. Like, I work, JR works, Basil works. So sometimes it's hard to schedule things, especially with there being only 5 other teams going to this tournament. So we'll play our scrims if we can get a scrim. If not, we'll play some matchmaking. We don't really play too much though. I feel like that's something we need to fix like going forward. But we just try to play really, really like serious when we do play and actually like make it count.
Yeah, quality over quantity for sure. I've always noticed that was a big thing in practice, whether it's esports, sports, anything you do really. But what exactly, as far as like your practice, I know you say that you take it real serious when you're together, but individually, how much time are y'all putting in? Do you think you're putting in enough time, like you personally, and then the other guys, like? Because I think that's what really matters the most is if everybody is getting on maybe daily and they're getting in their grind.
I mean, I'll speak for myself. I think I do. Whenever I do feel that I've gone like maybe a day, 2 days, 3 days without playing as much as I should, I will literally, like, if I'm off, I'll play for 8 hours straight. Like,
okay.
Yeah. So trust me, like, we do play. But we've been playing. We've been putting the time in. We're especially fantasy now. We know this game like the back of our hand.
Right.
So like when you see, like you mentioned Zerk, like he would take these battles. Like that's all confidence. Like when you play someone who knows like they can kill you with just that one shot, even if they're down, like it makes all the difference.
Now, so basically what you're saying to me is that the Apex plague, I guess you'd say, hasn't really taken over your team.
It hasn't taken over the team as far as like our whole team, but I've definitely dabbled in it. Eco has a little bit, Fancy has too. I got skins. Like I think it's a great game, but it's definitely not like taking over our team or anything like that. No.
Now what do you think? Because I mean, everybody loves it pretty much in the Halo community. Like it's hard to resist when you've got such a nice game that's just kind of sitting there. It's brand new and you want to play it, but then you've got to think to yourself, $100,000 is on the line. It's coming up in a few weeks. You've got to stay disciplined. So, like walk me through what you're expecting in Austin with all these players putting so much time into another game.
It's gonna come down to who wants it. Like there could be a game out, right? But I'm gonna be honest with you. When I first got onto Apex, I felt like I saw through it. I was like, this isn't even like that crazy good. It was amazing. Don't get me wrong, it's a good game, but for the most part, I love Halo 3. Like I don't play this game for the money. Like I've never played Halo for the money. I've played for it for the love of the game. So for me to go into this tournament for 100K, like it could be for 100K, it could be for $100. Like I think we're gonna put in the same amount of time.
You want to be the winner.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Especially it being in Texas, we're gonna have a lot of friends, family, like
Oh,
there, like
yeah,
locals. Like
yeah.
this tournament is gonna be huge for us. Like
So, like who from your family is coming?
no one from my family, but
Okay.
I know Faisal he's gonna have a couple of family members going. And I just have like so many locals, man. Just 3 years of playing Halo that are gonna be there,
Oh,
and
that's
I
good.
know they all want to see us win. Yeah, so it's definitely gonna be a lot of support.
Yeah, and that definitely helps when you have like the majority of a crowd in your favor. It just
Trust, yeah, like playing
so
against Rec and all these, mainly Rec, man. It's crazy. Like we'll be playing against them, we'll do something sick, and like the crowd doesn't say anything, and they do something, and it's just like it's crazy, man. It honestly is. Like it's, I'm not gonna say demoralizing, but it's if we had that crowd, we would definitely like get some type of extra push.
gosh,
That's, yeah.
it's awesome to me to see y'all go from where the people were calling you online warriors and whatnot. Mainly, your team name is an online warrior name, Golden Modem Squad.
Yeah,
But now you guys have got top six. I know that's nowhere close to where you guys want to be. I believe you're actually sixth seed.
I believe so too. I'm gonna go with what they announced as far as like the article is like the way they have it straight. So yeah, I'm gonna say we're six.
So you're the absolute underdog going into this event. Um, I mean, I kind of feel good like when I go into a tournament as an underdog. It makes me feel like I've got to try way harder. I'm way more focused. Do you feel the same, or do you just kind of go into every match the same way?
I'm not gonna say I feel like an underdog, um, just because we've had so much success since like we've
Right.
played with Eco. Um,
Okay.
I'm just confident. Sixth seed. It's it's kind of like the same bracket we had for St. Louis. You know,
Yeah.
so it's gonna be the same thing. We play Rec. If we beat them, we move on. We play. I think this time Denial or something like that. I have to look at it again, but we're just confident. The seeding doesn't really matter to us.
That's good. I mean, basically, just I think I've heard that throughout the history of my competitive career is just go into every tournament knowing you're going to win every series, no matter what team you're playing. And even if you get knocked down to losers, you know you're going to have to beat every team to win the tournament. Um, and that's a good way to be, honestly. I mean, it doesn't really matter. You want that first place, and there's nothing that's going to be stopping you. But let's talk a little bit about you know your your expectations for the future as far as different Halos, like with Infinite. It's pretty far ahead, but what are your hopes for the game and the future of the HCS?
I mean, my hopes for the game is, of course, just like anyone. I hope it's a good Halo. I hope it's fun to play.
You
I can say some Halos have been more fun than others.
know?
Um, I just hope it's a game that I can play for hours and not, get bored and want to get off. Like
Amen, brother.
that's all I ask for, honestly, man. Just as a Halo fan, as someone who's played Halo for like since Halo 1, as a like casual, like I just want a good Halo game. That's
Yeah,
it.
I can't agree any more than that. What is your current state of coaches? Because I know that you had like King Nick, you had Rami, you had multiple coaches at the last event. Have you guys locked anyone down?
Yeah, we have a Tusk. He's coaching us.
Oh, okay,
Oh
okay,
yeah.
all
Yeah,
right.
we're man, we're putting everything together, man. We got the coach, like the best coach. Like I feel like Tusk has really helped us. He knows
Oh,
Halo just as well as all of us. He played in that tournament with us, that Beyond tournament.
hmm
I what other team can say their coach can hop on the sticks and like win the tournament, So
yeah.
we got a good coach, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely saw a lot of promise out of him at the DreamHack Atlanta 2v2. Like I saw
hmm
a lot of the plays he was making were very fundamental. He knew how to play high level Halo 3. So that's definitely going to help you guys. And he's got a lot of experience now. So he knows exactly what to expect as far as pressure. And but as far as like his work ethic, well, what has he been doing specifically to help your team?
So this is what he does for us that I really like. He knows us. He knows how I play. He knows how fantasy plays. Like we have almost teamed with Tusk. Like this is someone who, if we're not playing how we're supposed to be playing, he's gonna let us know and he's gonna check us like really, really quick. So I would say that's the biggest thing he does. Obviously, he knows little things. Like of course, he'll call out like time, stuff like that. He'll call out predictions because he knows the game, just as well as like the rest of us. But his biggest thing is going to be like just how familiar he is with us, like as players.
I like that. I like that. Yeah, and that's you can go back to a lot of different coaches, like Royal One being a brother of a player. I mean, that's a huge help. Ogre Three being the brother of the two players, and then you can go to Towie, who was the best friend of the twins, who constantly was at their house drilling them about things that they were doing wrong. They would get into fights on stream.
I remember those.
I mean, that's the kind of mentality you got to have, that you guys are all on the same level. You guys are all going for the same goal, and you pull no punches. That if there's something that needs to be said, say it as well as you can without trying to offend anybody, but make sure that the point gets across and that there's a discussion about it. And I love to hear that you guys have someone locked in like that. I'm really happy to hear that Eco is working out, because personally, through the past 3 years that I've been witnessing his rise, I think outside of maybe Snakebite, he's probably one of the most individually capable players. I think all around, he has it all. He has the leadership ability, he has the clutch factor, he has the knowledge of when to run an objective. He does it all, and that's awesome to see be an addition for your squad. If you had to rate your confidence level of like the most confident you've ever been to the least confident, how would you rate this upcoming tournament?
I'm the most confident. We put the time in. We have great players on the team. There's no reason not to be confident going into this tournament. We've never lost a scrim since we formed.
Dang,
I'm
really?
confident. Yeah, we haven't.
You guys have played everybody?
We haven't played Tox. That's the one team we haven't played.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Now, are they doing that on purpose?
I don't know. They haven't reached out to us, but obviously we haven't reached out to them.
Okay.
So I think it's one of those, and they're also later on in the bracket we have to play them, so it's not something I'm necessarily prioritizing, because to be honest, it's hard for us to even get a scrim. Most of the time we're working. One of us gets off late. One of us cancels. They bail. Other teams, they already have. There's only 5 other teams, so sometimes if one team's not on, these other 2 teams are locked in. They're screaming So it's been weird, honestly, not to play them. I do want to play them, but we're also not I feel like we don't need to play them.
Well, I've talked to a lot of analysts in the past about this, and throughout the esports scene, fighters, real-time strategies like StarCraft, the highest opponents won't face each other until game day, because they don't want to get into the habit of playing each other and learning each other's habits. That's one thing that they wanted to stay away from. I know a lot of teams will do that in Counter-Strike, where they don't play the top teams. They'll only play them in their pro matches. And that just seems to help a lot in those scenes. So it was always kind of funny to me when you'd see, I remember back when Splice decided to switch it up, that was kind of the first time you ever saw that, where Splice was not playing. They were just playing 2v2s against each other. They weren't practicing against Tox and giving Tox the best practice possible. And I feel like that's kind of what y'all are doing by not practicing against them. Y'all could possibly not be giving them the best practice.
I'm not gonna say that's the reason. I can kind of see why Eco and them did that in H5. It comes down to, I feel like, how confident you are. We know we're a good team. We don't need to necessarily play them, and we know they're a good team. So we think if it comes down to game day, whoever's the better team that day, they're gonna win. I don't think we need to play them and we learn off them and they learn off us. We're both great teams already, so I think that's what it really comes down to. We're not in a rush to make that like that big like series happen just yet, I guess.
Man, I wish it would have. I would have definitely been all over that VOD, trying to check it out. But man, this is going to be such an exciting event. $100,000 on the line, the top 6 teams. Man, Gab, it's been a pleasure having you on. But let's close it out with just talking about any of your streaming habits. I want to get maybe your team has one guy that's streaming more than any other. Throw that out there.
So, I mean, we stream. Fantasy definitely streams the most out of all of us.
Okay.
But it's mainly like him first. He streams the most. Then comes Goofy, and then I stream. I don't really stream as much as I have, especially after like St. Louis. I was grinding.
Okay.
But I expect everyone to be streaming like after this tournament, because I think also when you stream, you give up like kind of like habits.
Mhm.
That's what I will say. So I think that's kind of like what makes me personally not stream as much.
Oh, okay. I like that.
But that's honestly because when I do play, the times I play, because I'm
Mhm.
actually really trying to like try new things. I'm trying new jumps. Because like I said, I work and stuff. I don't really play like as much as I would want to.
Right.
So that's kind of like another reason. So it's not like I don't want to stream or anything like that. It's just I have a big turn to play for. So
That's right, man. Staying
trying to get the best
focused.
of it. Yeah.
No, I love that, man. I love that. And I'll definitely be watching you guys all weekend. I'm going to be the eyes in the sky for you guys. So I'll make sure to put it on your screen when you got those crazy flanks you always used to hit me with, man.
Appreciate it, man.
Just the worst. But good luck, and I will talk to you later.
All right, man. Take it easy. Peace, Alex.
See you, buddy. All right, guys, that is the first show of the Roundtable. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will have some more guests from other titles coming in the future. Make sure you tune in next Tuesday, same time, 7 o'clock Central. It's been a blast. You guys have a great night.